Hello fellow space engineers, this is Marcelo from ACFM Gaming, and today I want to talk to you about damage. Specifically torpedo damage. Now as you can see, this is my destroyer and is in that aqua orientation. I was actually testing some torpedoes shooting at that embedded carrier, and then this happened. The orientation of the ship, it was perpendicular to the enemy ship and ended up like this. So let's get upside down relative to the enemy, of course, and examine this wreck. Now, this isn't a backfiring of the torpedoes, this isn't like a torpedo impact by itself, but it is torpedo related, and as you can see, it has to do with this. Now, what that is the dual pylon mount that I use to launch my torpedoes from. And this piece that you see here, this pylon here, is the one that was on the starboard side, and this is the one from the port side. And for this reason alone, I decided to remove this system temporarily from this ship, the one that is posted on the workshop, because I don't want the people who's trying it to, blow themselves up. Now, I have to say a few things. First of all, this doesn't happen all the time, but it is related to something that I assume, and I'm perfectly aware of, it's potentially dangerous. And that is using a rotor in combination with a landing gear. Now, I've seen, conflicting opinions about it. Some people swear by it. Some people say that is the only way of making these rotors not explode. Some people, for example, like Whip, the creator of the torpedo missile guiding script, and he was the one that warned me that this is potentially destructive. So we have like the two sides of the argument there, and to be honest, it's a matter of chance. Most of the times, what happens when I fire these torpedoes is that the pylon on the starboard side just detaches itself. It completely ignores, as you can see here, the autolock setting that it has. So the autolock on the landing gears gets disabled, and then the rotor detaches itself, the rotor head. Now, Whip was the one that warned me about that happening, and apparently it happens when the rotor head section, when the grid that is attached to the rotor head section loses power. And as you can see here, the only power that it may get is from the torpedo batteries, and once you release those torpedoes, the battery is gone, so the rotor head loses power and it detaches itself. It shouldn't be, because at least in the game functionality, rotors do transmit power. So these blocks, the rotor head, the landing gears, whatever, should be getting power from the rotor itself. Now, all this damage occurs, and that's me just, theorizing about it, when the rotor detaches, and then for some reason that resets the status of the landing gears, and they realize that they are on autolock and they're being detached, so they try to attach again, but then you have this rotor pulling also. So it's basically a competition between the magnetic pull of the landing gear and the inherent pull of the rotor trying to reattach itself, and then things shift through and this occurs. Now, what's really puzzling is the amount of damage that it causes, and as you can see here, this is the captain's chair. I mean, barely, the ship is still flyable. It still has the navigation bridge, but it completely tore the entire CIC. It only left one programmable block, and the med bay is gone. So, also the middle attachments for the hangar. This is massive damage. And if you compare this, you cannot achieve this type of damage with a single torpedo. You have to at least impact a ship 4 times. Now, I have to say, I tried to weaponize this thing. I tried to place an auto-lock set landing gear on the tip of a torpedo. It doesn't work like that. It basically just sticks out as if it was, one of those suction head toy arrows that you shoot at a kid's toy, and then the torpedo is just stuck there. It's interesting. It may develop into something else, but it's definitely not destructive. So it's not that easy to weaponize because it's basically a glitch, and you need like a set of conditions for this thing to happen. But yeah, the damage output is quite impressive. So let me hear your thoughts on the matter. Have you encountered this type of glitch before? Oh, also before I forget, the whole tilting of the ship that was like this in relation to its original axis. It's due to the sheer kinetic force of that impact. So it's definitely something that is worth to look at. Try to exploit because basically player-made weapons are weaponizing the exploit. So if you encounter this, if you have any ideas on how to turn this, fix the whole situation with the launching of the torpedoes, and at the same time um, enable this type of damage to be dealt in a controlled fashion against an enemy vessel, let me know.